Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
Live from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to episode 78 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com and proudly presented by the Geeks Worldwide Radio Network. I, of course, am one of your hosts, the real Brad Bell, and today we have united the two because we have my co-host, Andrew Stokes, also known as
Andrew Stokes.
Yeah, and the plan was, Andrew, to at least unite the three amigos of
the big three.
Yeah, the big three of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, but that didn't work out. Jerry had some stuff with work, and this is the holidays. We're recording this the day after Thanksgiving, so unfortunately, Barbecue 17 couldn't join us, and he's probably, let's just go ahead and say it, the biggest fan of the movie we're reviewing today, which is Zack Snyder / Joss Whedon's Justice League. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get into the full show and talk about what we've been checking out this week.
Checklist? Check. Double checking of checklist? Check.
Andrew Stokes, what have you been checking out this week?
Well, I'm kind of piggybacking off of what you were checking out last week. I've started watching Mindhunters on Netflix. I'm really liking it. It's a really good show. There's a few episodes on this. I think more than normal for one of these shows.
I think there's 10 on this
10?
Netflix show. Yeah.
Okay.
I really like the, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the older guy's name's Holt McCloney, and he was actually in Justice League, believe it or not. He is the thug that Batman busts at the beginning.
Oh, really?
And,
funny.
reaps the fear from to
Yeah.
get the Parademon to show up. Mild spoilers for the opening scene of Justice League there. As Andrew shakes his head and, I guess, disapproval, that opening scene of Justice League, but we'll get there later. And it has Jonathan Groff here, who plays Holden Ford. I'm really enjoying this show, just like you, Andrew. Love this show. Abby really likes it.
I wasn't sure after the first episode, honestly. Like I watched it and I was like, "Oh, this is good. It's a quality show." I'm not 100% sure, but by the end of the second episode, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm into this," and it just keeps getting better from there.
When they get into the stuff, and I'm not going to spoil it here, but when they get into the stuff with Benji and that whole thing, that's when the show, to me, not that it wasn't good until then, but
it was already taken off. But yeah, it's like then they're really getting into things.
They really caught their stride. Like, okay, this is a show I'm invested in. I'm going to watch every season they put out, at least as long as it doesn't dive off a cliff. And typically Netflix shows don't do that.
We'll see where it ends, I guess. But yeah,
it has Anna Torv in it, who is Olivia from Fringe. Did you ever watch Fringe, Andrew?
I didn't. I did not.
She was the main character there, with Joshua Jackson, of course, who was on there. And that's actually who my friend Paul named his daughter after, the character from Fringe, Olivia, not Anna Torv. But, I really like the dynamic between, I know it's cliche because you got he's not a newcomer to the FBI because he's been at Quantico for a while. He's been in the field, but now he's teaching at Quantico with Holden. And then the whole gruff, I kind of buy
the old grizzled cop versus, and the young, bright-eyed, guy. Yeah, I got you.
His name's Bill Tench, and he kind of buys into what Holden's doing. Like this whippersnapper has almost re-energized his career, but. It is graphic. It's very similar to something like the movie Seven. My advice is if you can get past the opening credits, you can probably get past most of the stuff in the show. I love the opening credits for this. Like, I never skip it. I always skip the intro on Netflix.
I probably would. For some reason, it hasn't been giving me the option to skip it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's because you don't pay for the most premium 4K Netflix plan, Andrew.
I don't think that's why.
I don't think that's why.
I guess I don't mind it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. Opening credits.
Opening credits on Netflix shows are definitely enjoyable, though.
Yeah, Punisher, which we can talk about maybe next week after you get to watch it and I get to watch some more episodes. It has a really good opening credits thing, and so does Daredevil as well.
I love Daredevils.
Me too. I love Daredevil's. Evil Knievel's one of my favorites. But oh, you're talking about Daredevils, as in the possessive of that opening credit. Okay. All right. Let me talk about what I've been checking out this week, and we may go fast through checking out the news because we really want to dive deep into Justice League. But I checked out Wind River. This is a movie directed by Taylor Sheridan. This is Taylor Sheridan's first movie as a director. He actually wrote Sicario for Denis Villeneuve, which is a movie. Did you ever get to see Sicario?
Nope.
Man, you need to. I'll let you borrow that as soon as you finish the other Denis Villeneuve movie. I'll let you borrow Arrival.
Yep.
Have you watched that yet?
Nah.
Oh my gosh! But
I almost did the other day, but
I don't know if Taylor Sheridan helped write Arrival or not. I'm not sure. I know he wrote Sicario, and he's actually directing the Sicario sequel, which Denis Villeneuve's not involved in because it was being made already when he was working on one of my favorite movies of the year, Blade Runner 2049. But this stars Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen, so we get Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch from the MCU in the same movie, and no coincidence here, I don't think. Jeremy Renner's a great shot, and he's a hunter in this movie. He actually works for... I'm trying to think of the exact name of it. It's like Wilderness and Wildlife Preservation or something.
Yeah.
So he is a type of law enforcement, but he's not necessarily the police. But he does this on an Indian reservation. He was actually married. His marriage is on the rocks after the death of his daughter to a Sioux Indian. And to make a long story short, this stars John Bernthal, who you love, so you should definitely check it out.
He was in Sicario too, right?
Yeah, he was. Gosh,
Yeah, a
Taylor
connection there,
Sheridan probably pulled him in there.
Yeah.
But there's a murder of a young Native American girl on an Indian reservation, and unfortunately a rape as well. And you have the outsider coming in here, Elizabeth Olsen from the FBI, and she's working with Jeremy Renner to find the people behind this. It's a whodunit.
Yeah, sounds good.
It is good. It's intense. It's a movie that I wanted to see in the theater, but it came out at the tail end of summer when I was getting ready to go back to work and trying to catch up on all the other summer movies. But it's out there on demand. Movie looks gorgeous. It's set in Wyoming, and I think they actually filmed in Wyoming. So check that out. I highly recommend it. If I was rating it, I'd probably give it a great.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed it. Let's go ahead and get into the epic news items of the week. Andrew, something both you and I have enjoyed this year is Movie Pass. You actually got yours before I got mine.
It's not a contest, Brad.
Yeah.
But if it was, I won.
You did win, because I think you got yours before Evan Truelove got his as well.
Wow.
And a lot of people rushed into this. So far, so good for me. I haven't had any problems with it. The app kind of is sluggish sometimes, and it doesn't always update the times as quick.
Really?
Yeah, for me, with the Gastonia Theater. So you go to a different theater than I do usually. I go to a Regal. You go to AMC here.
AMC, yeah. I think we called it Carmike last week, and I probably have it.
It was Carmike Cinemas forever.
Right.
But I love my Movie Pass, man. I've used it a couple times already. I got Abby one just because I'm usually going to the movies with her. We actually used it to go see Justice League.
Yeah.
And it's worth the $9.99 that we're both paying. So we're both paying $20 a month for this combined.
Combined, you're paying, yeah.
And now Movie Pass has announced that you can get this for $6.95 a month, but you have to sub for the whole year and pay up front.
Right.
What were your thoughts on this, Andrew?
I mean, it sounds great. I mean, that's what I do with Prime, right?
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. So, I mean,
I'm
whatever.
scared here, though. Like,
Are you?
Amazon Prime, I have no, any doubts they're going to honor that. And Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the entire world, not just the United States.
I got you, yeah.
There's so much flack that they've been getting from places like AMC, Movie Pass, that I'm afraid that they're trying to get as much money up front as they can, because they know that this thing's too good to be true, right? I mean, it's not going to lie. I mean, I'm getting why the getting's good, but it almost reminds... You know what it kind of reminds me of? And it's not a one-to-one analogy, really. It's not spot on. It almost reminds me of like when Napster was out.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, Napster, you can get all these free... I know I'm dating myself talking about Napster here. You can get all this free music. And then there was the stuff with Metallica, right, with the lawsuit. And then you had to start paying for Napster. But, like, everybody had to kind of think in the back of their head, right, that being young, I didn't, but adults who were doing it had to think, this is too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
And even though we're paying for Movie Pass, and it's not the exact same parallel, but
it's not, because I think they're going to have a harder time blocking something like Movie Pass.
But, how is this? It's not a sustainable model for them, though.
It could be.
I mean, aren't they relying on, pretty much when you buy this, you're accepting that they're going to give your information to third-party, like, advertisers and stuff?
The idea is probably twofold. It's those people who are going to buy it and not use it to its full effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to sell the information and stuff, and that's kind of, part of their business model. You know what I mean?
I never understood. Now, I know AMC was going to come up with their own subscription service. I believe theirs is going to be like $25 a month, which still, I mean, now it looks bad, right?
For certain markets, I wouldn't. Even as much as I go to the movies, I don't think that'd be working out for me.
$25 a month.
Probably not. I mean, I go to a lot of for Movie Pass, it's like $10 a month. I still have to see like 2 movies to get my money's worth.
So if you're in New York, LA, Chicago,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're getting your money's worth, even if it's $25 a month. So besides the fact that AMC was going to do their own, I never understood why they're hell bent out of shape about this, because they're still getting the money. They're just getting it from Movie Pass, number one. And number two, most people who know the movie industry know they make their money off of concessions. That's why everything's so upcharged.
Right.
And guess what I do now?
Buy more concessions.
Yeah, since I've already paid for my movie.
Yeah.
We went to, now a lot of this has to do with my wife Abby's pregnant, but we went to see Justice League.
Yeah.
We got popcorn, a drink, and Sour Patch Kids. No way I do that. So that was like $7.
Did you get a second mortgage for that?
That was like $18, $19, right?
Yeah.
There's no way I would have done that on top of paying $20
to
go into the movie theater. So I think that it is helping movie theaters in that extent. I don't know, with one versus the other, if they're actually losing money on the ticket end, how much versus they're making on the concession end. I'll tell you how much they've got me. I came very close, and a lot of this had to do, I'm a teacher. One of my former students works at the movie theater near me. She actually got me one of those Flash Funko Pops that they gave out at the midnight showing.
Okay, cool.
That was very nice of her, but she was trying to sell me on the collectible Justice League 10 popcorn bucket and souvenir drink. Did they have those at yours?
I don't know. I didn't get popcorn and drink.
I'm like, how much is it? She's like, it's $25 for the combo. And I thought about it. I didn't do it.
What is it? It's just a popcorn bucket with Justice League.
It's a large popcorn bucket that you can refill only during that trip, though. Oh. It's not like the old Carmike buckets that they don't have.
Refill it for free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. During that
movie, right?
Yeah, so
AMC has a popcorn bucket. Yeah,
they still do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's only for the smaller theaters, like the one they took over for Carmike, because they call these AMC Classic or something.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's only for the smaller.
So they're not putting in, because it's been a while since I've been to this local theater that we grew up to going. Are they putting in the luxury seating?
I'm not sure what they're doing. I know they're not. I know they're not accepting the old Carmike popcorn buckets.
I bet you there's a lot of angry old people in Cleveland County who are like, what?
Yeah.
I paid a good money for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be upset about that too.
I guess. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would they not honor it?
At least for that year, and then be like, okay,
exactly.
This is our popcorn.
Do the AMC one. Though I think they're already selling the 2018 AMC one.
What's on it? Is there anything like, they used to put like whatever the big movie was at the time or the next year? Like I remember Amazing Spider-Man was on one of them.
The AMC one, I think, is just an AMC bucket with 2018.
Did you get one?
I've never gotten a popcorn bucket now. Yeah.
I'm not even a big popcorn fan, but as much as we used to go.
As it got more and more expensive. And
what were they, $18?
I don't know. It's the refill that got more and more expensive, too. It's like $4.50 to refill or something now.
It used to be unlimited. You'd pay for the bucket one time.
I don't know. It's been for years now. You had to pay to get it refilled.
What?
Yeah. It's been that way for years.
Well, it must have started in like 2015 or something, because
it's been quite a while. Because it's slowly gone up. Because I even thought about like years ago, okay, I'll get a popcorn bucket. It's only like $1.50. But then I'm also like, I don't need that much popcorn every time I go to the theater. Because I go to the theater a lot. You know what I mean?
Did you take it home or?
I've done it before because my parents have done it.
Yeah.
So I've done the popcorn bucket thing before.
Yeah.
I've personally never purchased one.
I love movies. I'm not a big popcorn guy,
Man,
but I love movie theater popcorn.
I feel like AMC's changed whatever popcorn they had.
It's not as good.
I've had it a couple times, and maybe I'm just misremembering it. I don't know.
It's nostalgia, Andrew. For that
something.
old
It just doesn't
popcorn.
taste as good as like, man. I don't know.
Well, I will tell you this. Here's what I like about Regals. They have their own butter machine.
Nah, you still got to ask for the butter
I know.
at the AMC.
I remember when we would go and get the popcorn buckets. How would I ask them to make my popcorn? Do you remember?
I don't know, but
I'd be like, layer the butter. So they would put
Yeah.
some popcorn in there, put butter in
Yeah.
there, shake it up, put more popcorn, put more butter.
That's great,
Put
man.
a little more popcorn, and then top it off with butter.
I remember doing the butter myself though at the Regal or whatever.
And I don't see
What a mistake.
why that you did it.
No, letting the people do it.
See,
Letting
I
the
don't
consumer
know
do
though
it.
because it's not the same. Think
Yeah.
about this: you're behind the counter. You
Yeah.
can put some in, put some butter in, but you've already got all the popcorn stacked up. So
Yeah.
this is like top heavy on butter.
I've always seen it at the Carmike. Whenever I got popcorn, they've always layered it.
Really, you
Yeah,
didn't even
probably-
have to ask.
Yeah, never. They just like to. They ask if you want butter. Yeah, I do. Put some popcorn in. I mean, it's probably like they fill it up halfway, put some butter, fill it up to the top, put some butter. They're not really shaking it up or anything, but still, I mean, whatever. It was
Yeah,
nice.
so if you want a movie pass, $6.95.
What are we even talking about now?
$6.95
Is it-
now for an annual subscription.
Isn't it cheaper if you're already a subscriber?
I think it is.
I heard
Yeah,
it
you
is like a
can-
discount.
Are you gonna do it? I'm not.
I probably will.
Really?
You see, you have me nervous now. I was all for it.
Yeah.
I was like, I better hurry up and sign up. But you got me a little nervous now. But I don't know. Whatever.
Speaking of nervous, I'm a little nervous about the state of DC movies as a whole after Justice League, but especially Batman, because talks are that Matt Reeves is wanting to replace Ben Affleck with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Is the rumor that Ben Affleck's going to leave, and if he does, Matt Reeves wants Jake Gyllenhaal, or that Matt Reeves wants Ben Affleck out for Jake Gyllenhaal?
I don't know if it's been clarified.
From what I understand, I thought it was. It is Ben Affleck sounds like he has one foot out the door.
He's
and
done
Matt
with
Reeves is
this.
looking at Gyllenhaal. Yeah,
And he can't be done with it yet because Justice League's still in theaters. It's
Yeah.
still out internationally as well. So I would expect sometime in early 2018
Yeah.
for that announcement to be made. But I think it's kind of hard to talk about this right now because this is something we can almost talk about at the end of our Justice League review.
Mm-hmm.
This may change depending on where they want to go with this whole DCEU post Justice League.
Yeah.
And post this performance, which was not good to say the least at the box office. So,
Right.
But just real quick. Would you like to see Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman? Because I think I would.
I think so because I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't necessarily look at him and be like, "Oh yeah, that's Batman." You know what I mean? But it's
Like
like,
John Hamm, you look at him and you're like, I could see him as Batman.
yeah. But Jake Gyllenhaal, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I like the stuff he's done. So I would definitely it would sound like a pro to me. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's check this out and
Well-
get Rachel back.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah. She's been dead, but
Yeah.
anyway,
It's in the
here's
universe.
what sells me on Gyllenhaal. Have you ever seen Zodiac?
I have not. No.
Oh man, you need to see that movie. David Fincher movie, got Robert Downey Jr., got Jake Gyllenhaal about the famous Zodiac killings in California in the 1960s. But he is somebody who basically, he starts as a cartoonist, but he becomes an investigative journalist trying to figure out who the Zodiac killer is.
Yeah.
And they said this Batman is going to be more of a detective noir movie.
That'd be awesome.
So I think that fits Gyllenhaal perfect because you see him kind of descend into chaos. That's a movie all about obsession, his obsession, and seeing his life kind of waste away. It's more about that than it is the Zodiac killings themselves.
Yeah.
So I could see him like becoming obsessed with the war on crime, and I don't know if you knew this, he was Nolan's second choice for his Batman.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Christian Bale and Jake Gyllenhaal were the final two, and Bale ended up winning out.
He was so much nicer, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, no, Jake Gyllenhaal is supposed to be a genuinely nice guy.
I would love to meet him one day. That'd
like
be
I
cool.
believe it. Like
Yeah.
he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, you see him in interviews and stuff. He seems
Kind of like Tom Hanks. I don't know if he seems that nice because nobody's as nice as Tom Hanks. But at the same time, I mean, I would really like to see him in this role. Now that this has been mentioned, I can't get it out of my mind. So
keeps you up at night.
Yeah, it does. The whole DCEU keeps me up at night. Speaking of that, Batman has been confirmed for Flashpoint.
Okay.
Again, we'll see if this movie happens. Now, here's the big thing.
When is Flashpoint supposed to be coming out?
I think 2018 or something.
And is this...
No, like 2019. I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
But in the Flashpoint storyline, everything is, no pun intended here, is reversed. So, like, Thomas Wayne ends up living and Bruce dies. Mm-hmm. Bruce and Martha die. And they've already said, when I say they, I mean Zack Snyder, and we'll see how much he's involved in this thing, if at all, moving forward, that he wants to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who's playing Negan, of course, on The Walking Dead. He wants to see him play Thomas Wayne Batman.
Again.
That was at the beginning, of BVS, and we talked about this before.
Yeah.
He is Thomas Wayne. So that would be really cool. So I don't know if they mean, like, Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne, or Ben Affleck or Jake Gyllenhaal, or you fill in the blank right now. Okay, so more DC stuff. Did you know DC is launching their own streaming platform, Andrew?
I've heard about this, yeah.
And I know the big thing is going to be the live-action Teen Titans show. Like, that's going to be the draw there. And I definitely would want to check that out, at least for a little bit, see if I like it.
Yeah.
But they're also going to have a Harley Quinn animated series on there.
An adult one, right?
Now, I don't know if it's going to be adult, but...
that's what I heard, right? Or it's the rumor.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I mean, when they say adult, do they mean like...
I mean, like adult humor, I would assume.
Like Batman the Animated Series type? Because I know that was like a kid's show, but gosh, that show
No, I mean
was
adult, probably like Rick and Morty or South Park or something. Like
those shows are... I mean, South Park's always been popular, but Rick and Morty's just huge right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't going to get me to get... I'm not that big of a Harley Quinn... this is when I wish Jerry was here for this, because if he says he would get it, then that would be a good litmus test as are DC fans going to sign up for this streaming service. Like, if you would have asked me, I know Disney's going to have their own streaming service, but if Marvel or DC was going to have a streaming service first, I would have said Marvel, because they beat DC to the punch on so many things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'll definitely check this out, at least to watch the Teen Titans show, unless it ends up being like Inhumans.
Yeah.
Where everybody says it's complete garbage. One last thing, I know this is kind of personal for me to talk about. They're releasing the Christopher Nolan 4K Blu-ray collection on December 19th. You're going to get the whole Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Dunkirk, and Interstellar.
Okay.
Retails for $300. And it's going to be on sale for $150 the day it comes out.
Are you pre-ordering this? Be honest.
I haven't pre-ordered it. I own all these movies on Blu-ray.
Yeah, but not on 4K.
Yeah, I know. And I do have a 4K TV, as mentioned on this podcast before. I'm at least getting... They're doing a separate release for the Dark Knight trilogy. That's going to be $70. I'm getting that. Like, there's no...
Is it the same one in both sets, as far as you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same one. It's just a different box and everything. Like, I'm tempted to get all of them because, I mean, this is my favorite director, and if there's any movies I'm going to watch over and over in 4K,
you like all those movies, too.
I love all those. Dunkirk's the one I like the least, but I already have it pre-ordered anyway.
On 4K?
Yeah. So it breaks down to being about $25 a movie. I mean,
it's not bad.
Which isn't that bad considering some of these 4K Blu-rays are like $40, $35.
Where's Memento?
I don't know. I have that on Blu-ray though.
Sure.
But,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, that's my favorite Nolan film.
Kind of surprising. But I mean, these are the big blockbusters, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, how many other ones are there?
I'm trying to think. Is Prestige gonna be on this thing? I want to check that real quick. I'm pretty sure it is. You've seen Prestige, right?
Nope.
Oh my gosh! I'll tell you what. I'll give you my Blu-ray copy if I end up getting this Nolan box set and it comes with the Prestige. I'm double checking that now.
I got your copy right now.
You have my copy of the Prestige?
It's sitting right on top of
oh, it does come with the Prestige.
See?
Okay, so well, that's not a bad deal.
No, it's not. I mean, it's good. What's missing?
That Memento.
That's the only Christopher Nolan film. Insomnia. Okay.
Insomnia. I'm trying to be very picky with what I rebuy.
Yeah.
Because
Sure, no, I get you there.
I mean, it's the jump from Blu-ray from DVD was astronomical. Your dad could come in, somebody who's maybe not a home theater enthusiast. My mom could see it, whatever. And I noticed the difference on that. Like 4K,
not so much.
You do notice the difference, but you have to have an eye for it. And a lot of the difference is on darker scenes.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people they only pay attention to darker scenes like when they're complaining. Like I remember watching the old 89 Batman on VHS, and the dark scenes, you couldn't see anything. You go and watch the remastered Blu-ray now, I mean, it looks fantastic. So if they ever do it in 4K, it'll look even better. So
some of my Blu-rays are upgraded from DVDs, but a lot of them are like just new movies I haven't owned on DVD.
Yeah, and it's like...
I bought the... Because Black Friday shopping, I bought the Planet of the Apes, the new movies.
Oh, you bought the trilogy?
No, I just bought the second two in their single Blu-ray forms.
I have War on 4K, and I have not watched it yet. That is the one thing. I end up buying a lot of the movies that I see in theaters that year. Yeah. Because I pre-order them on Amazon, because that's the cheapest time to get them besides Black Friday, is at their release on Amazon. It's like, well, I just watched this, so I kind of got to step away from it for a minute. But speaking of things we just watched, let's go ahead and get into our featured review of Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon's Justice League.
There is a stranger who comes to this village from the sea. He comes in the winter when people are hungry and brings fish. He comes on the king tide. That was last night.
Chuck.
I believe that an enemy is coming from far away. I'm looking for warriors. This stranger. Others like him. I'm building an alliance to defend us. It's very important that I see this man. Barry Allen. Bruce Wayne.
You said that like it explains why there's a total stranger sitting in the dark in my second favorite chair.
He said he'll fight with us?
More or less.
More or more less?
Probably more or less.
He said no.
He said no.
Look, man, I don't know who you are, but whoever you're looking for,
So you're fast.
that feels like an oversimplification.
I'm putting together a team. People with special abilities. You see, I believe enemies are coming.
Stop right there. I'm in.
You are? Just like that?
Yeah, I need friends.
Agreed.
Can I keep this?
As we always do, let's go ahead and get into some of the stats for Justice League. Justice League was released November 17, 2017, directed by Zack Snyder, and famously Joss Whedon was brought in to finish shooting, although he didn't get a co-directing credit.
Right, he has a writing credit.
Yeah, he did get a screenplay credit. Of course, we're going to get into that a ton here. It was produced by Zack's wife, Deborah, and Jeff Johns. Deborah also stepped down after the tragic loss of their daughter who committed suicide. The family made that decision together. It stars Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Henry Cavill, Ezra Miller, Ray Fisher, Amy Adams, and J.K. Simmons, among many others. Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer were replaced by the legendary Danny Elfman, who came in to do the score. Most famously, when it comes to superheroes, he scored the 89 and 92 Burton Batmans, and he scored the first two Raimi Spider-Man movies. This had a running time much shorter than BVS. It was only 120 minutes. Its budget was $300 million, but including marketing, it had a budget of $450 million. They've spent $150 million on marketing this movie. It made $96 million, but I believe it was reduced to $94 million opening weekend domestically. It made $185 million globally, so we're looking at about $280 million opening that Justice League made. And as of right now, the day after Thanksgiving 2017, it sits at $315 million globally. So they're not even close to breaking even. It did do well in China. It made $51 million in China, which is quickly catching up with the U.S. as far as the biggest movie market. Brought in $13 million from Thursday night and midnight showings alone. But apparently Warner's is expected to lose $50 to $100 million on this movie. And the Trump administration just blocked the merger of Time Warner and AT&T.
Yeah.
And Time Warner, of course, owns Warner Brothers that owns DC. So if that merger takes place, losing this money, I mean, I know to us it's more money than we'll ever have in our life probably, but it's chump change if that merger is allowed to take place. I know that's a little political, that's a little inside baseball, but that's being talked about here is, oh crap, this doesn't go through. Like, this could affect, that's probably the last thing they're thinking about, but this, for fanboys and fangirls, this could affect the DCEU. This was sitting at 39% on RT for a while, but it's now up to 41%. They did something interesting with this, Andrew. RT had their new reveal show.
Yeah.
So they held the rating.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, well, this must suck, because usually when ratings are late or they're released day of release or after, that's a turd. It's assumed to be a turd, right?
Right.
But they actually, whether you think this movie's crap or not, that wasn't the case for holding the score here.
Right, they weren't embargoed. Rotten Tomatoes wasn't embargoed. They purposefully were holding it themselves to wait.
Which Time Warner owns Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not like there's been a lot of talk, and even me before I looked into it, like, oh, here they go screwing over the DCEU again, and Warner Brothers. But no, I mean, they could have stopped this publicity stunt. I think this I don't know if it hurt them a ton, but it did hurt them some. Let's get into a few opening questions, Andrew. The Justice League overall as a team, what's your personal fandom behind this team?
Like my favorite version of them?
Favorite version, just were you a fan of the Justice League growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked the Justice League, I feel. I mean, maybe not growing up. It probably wasn't until the animated cartoon. And that was around the same time I started getting into comics, and so I liked reading Justice League comics and stuff like that. So I definitely consider myself a fan of Justice League, for sure.
Famously, you're a fan of Young Justice, which is a take on the Justice League.
Have you watched it yet?
I have not watched
it. It's fantastic.
I know
you should check it out.
As you've stated throughout the history of the Confirmed Epic
Let me explain
podcast.
to you why it's such a good show.
I'm also a fan of the Justice League. I don't like the animated series as far as the Justice League is concerned as much as you do or Jerry does. Like,
really? Okay.
I like it. It's good. I just didn't have as fond of memories of it as I did, say, something like Batman, the animated series, or even Spider-Man, the animated series on Fox Kids. But a lot of my experience with the Justice League was done through reading comics in the early 2000s. As far as a comic team,
yeah,
I probably always, when reading comics, preferred the Avengers over the Justice League. Mm-hmm. But as time has passed, like I like DC comics at this current time a lot more than I do Marvel comics.
Yeah.
So the Justice League, I think just as fondly of them as I do the Avengers. Like, there's not one I prefer over the other. I just want to make that clear.
Well, even though I'm more of a Marvel fan overall, I always liked the Justice League over Avengers. I was always more of a fan of Justice League. So
just making that clear for things that Andrew will say later on in this podcast.
I'm just saying, I didn't really care about the Avengers at all, really.
Yeah.
So
you did the Ultimates, though.
Sure, once that started up, yeah.
Let's talk about your feelings toward the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe as a whole up until this point. We don't have to give ratings for every single one of these movies, but to run it down, this has been Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Batman vs. Superman, regular and Ultimate Cut, Suicide Squad, and now Justice League. You haven't been too hot on this universe, have you?
Not too much. Not too good, I don't think they're doing.
Even though you did give Batman versus Superman a good, I believe, when we podcasted on that a couple years ago.
What a crazy person I was back then.
I think I gave it a great.
I gave Wonder Woman a good and a half.
I know I gave the ultimate cut of Batman versus Superman great, for sure. And it is. I hold that the ultimate cut of Batman versus Superman is a great movie.
Maybe I'll have to watch it sometime.
You should. You really should. So I'm a lot. The one looking back that to me is the worst of this bunch is Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. It to me, I enjoyed it in the theater, but as I went and revisited it since, it seems like a collection of scenes with pop music more than it is an actual film.
To me, I mean, I think I probably like that more than Man of Steel because Man of Steel was just boring.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Man of Steel.
Yeah, like it just, I never, I think that's the thing with Batman versus Superman and why I probably gave it a good is like there's some legitimately entertaining things in there. It's kind of a crazy, messy movie, but like there's some good stuff in there. Of course, Wonder Woman is just a good, solid movie in and of itself.
Good, solid superhero origin.
It's crazy. Movie. It's like an enigma of a movie. It doesn't look like it belongs.
It's an outlier.
Right. I mean, it looks like it belongs aesthetically. It doesn't. As far as the quality of the other ones goes, it
has a clear 3-act structure. Even if you don't like the third act, the acts are in place. It feels like a legit movie.
Yeah.
For sure. Man of Steel was the first time that Superman really resonated with me as a character, and it brought a character that I could care less about into my conscious, and I began really enjoying him, seeking out stories about him, and to the point that he's in my top 10 now, for sure, when before Man of Steel he wasn't.
Who did he knock out? Spider-Man?
Oh, hell no. No, of course not. I don't know who he knocked out off the top of my head. Okay. I'll have to do that one day. Top 10 superheroes. Okay. That would be a good one.
Okay.
Is the DCEU, which who knows if it even exists, because apparently it does after they said, no, we're going to do standalone movies outside of the DCEU, which a lot of people got the headlines, the clickbait confused because when they came out and said they were doing standalone movies outside of the extended universe.
Yeah, people labeled it dead.
It's dead, but that's not the truth, okay? Right. At least as of this podcast, this could change by the time I click post tonight. The DC extended universe is alive with plans of Flashpoint movies, Shazam movies, Green Lantern movies, and
aren't they introducing Black Adam in like Suicide Squad 2?
Supposedly. Oh, and Suicide Squad 2, which I have. Some of these other movies may not happen. But I'm pretty sure that movie happens because that's what their most. Besides Wonder Woman,
was the Birds of Prey movie that Harley Quinn was in, and now there's a different movie she's in.
I'm not sure. I know Zack, not Zack Snyder. Joss Whedon's working on Batgirl still. That has been confirmed. We obviously mentioned earlier in this podcast.
That actually sounds good. I like the sound of that. Yeah. Joss Whedon doing a Batgirl film, especially if it's standalone.
The Matt Reeves Batman trilogy. Yeah. I think that will happen in some form or fashion.
I mean, there's got to be more Batman movies, regardless of whether they're in the universe or not. You know what I mean? It's Batman.
My question for you is, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I was on Amos's podcast talking Justice League, Just Being Amos podcast, episode 36. Check that out. Is the WB and DCEU, is it too reactionary? And here's my points and examples of this. People got mad about Superman being too destructive in Man of Steel. So what do? They weave that into the plot of Batman versus Superman.
Well, let's go to this abandoned city to fight.
Yeah, Batman versus Superman's too dark. It's too long, so they make this shorter. They make it lighter. Yeah. Wonder Woman's a hit. They bring Gal Gadot back in to shoot more scenes to supposedly add more Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. You have the tragedy with Zack Snyder, and this is kind of what I really want to get into here, the timetable of events. And who do they bring in? They bring in Joss Whedon.
The man, the myth, the Whedon.
Who has made 3 of the exact same movies if you really sit down and think about it. Okay? Think about this.
No.
In Avengers, you have the villain, Loki. Uh-huh. You have a MacGuffin, the Tesseract, and you had an army of faceless villains. Okay? Age of Ultron, you have the villain Ultron, the Ultron bots, another army to fight, and the MacGuffin, the gem that's in Vision's head. I think it's the Soul Gem, right? They're going after. In Justice League, you have the 3 mother boxes,
Yeah.
a MacGuffin, the bad guy Steppenwolf, and then you have the parademons. That's 3 of the exact same movies.
Sure, but they're not the only ones like that. You had the same thing in like Thor: The Dark World. That's the exact same thing in there. They're after the Aether. You have those Dark Night Elves. I feel like, and then I mean, Transformers has some of that same stuff going on.
I mean, it's
like,
tropish.
I think
when you have big team movies too. I mean, I'm not trying to.
You definitely feel it in Age of Ultron. Like Age of Ultron is where you definitely feel it. Where you're like, okay, this is Avengers, just bigger.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why.
Instead of New York,
That's why
it's
Civil
this whole
War
little
was
country.
Yeah, that's why Age of Ultron. I think I enjoyed it. Wasn't as good as the first Avengers, and why Civil War was better because it's kind of like an Avengers movie that does something different. You know.
Yeah, but of all the people you could have brought in, and I'm not talking about Christopher Nolan here because God knows he wasn't going to do it, even though he's listed as a
James
producer
Gunn.
on these films. Of all the people you could have brought in,
Yeah.
you bring in the Marvel guy.
Sure, but he was already in the fold though. He was already
With
in the bullpen.
Batgirl, but he
Right.
wasn't working on Justice League.
No, I'm saying
he,
he was
been
already-
brought into the
Right.
Warner's family
Yeah.
at this point. That is true. But if you're trying to, which I guess at this point they weren't, to distinguish this,
But are you? Again, isn't Suicide Squad, and especially the marketing for that, a reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy?
and that you just, I didn't, think about that, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the bigger problems here too. So we know the tragedy, unfortunately, with Snyder's daughter and him leaving.
Yeah.
However, there's another story that Snyder screened his cut of Justice League. So he had his cut
Okay.
before Joss ever had to come in. He screened it for Warner's executives. I think it was 2 hours and 50-something minutes long.
Interesting.
50 minutes shorter than the final runtime of Justice League. Apparently,
Longer?
50 minutes longer. Excuse
okay.
me. Apparently, they hated it.
Really?
Too much like Batman versus Superman, and that was one of the big reasons that Joss Whedon was brought in. So that may have been I don't know. Snyder was pretty much done, right? Mm-hmm. So then they tell him, no, you're not done. This isn't good enough. We're bringing Joss Whedon in. That's when he leaves. And
Right.
he talked, because it wasn't like his daughter did this and then he left.
Right.
It
He spent
happened.
these-
He continued working on the movie
Yeah.
till he finished his movie.
Yeah.
Which leaves me to wonder, will we ever get his cut of the movie? And I don't know if, I think his cut of the movie would have been better than what we got.
Maybe.
That's my personal opinion. But let's talk about,
Okay.
there's a great podcast I listen to called Talking Comics, and when they review these movies, they say you can only review the movie you got, not the movie you wish you'd have got, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great line from one of their
It's a great
hosts.
line when remembering the movie Prometheus. What a great movie it could have been if they had...
All right. What are your initial impressions? What do you think of Justice League?
Not my favorite DC movie they've done.
It felt more like a Marvel movie, but continue.
Sometimes. Oh man, I don't know. It was kind of boring at times. It was kind of just dumb at
Abby
times.
got bored in this movie. She loves DC and Wonder Woman, and she was like getting fidgety, man.
Yeah, I nodded more than once. I didn't fall asleep during this movie, but there were definitely times where I'm like sipping my latte that I brought with me. Like,
Let me ask you this. You saw Batman versus Superman twice because you saw it once with me and you saw it with some other friends.
I saw
before.
it, and then the day we were gonna review it, you still hadn't seen it yet, if I remember correctly. So I went and saw it with you.
I think it was me, you, and my brother went. But
Yeah.
did you fall asleep in that movie either
I did
time?
not.
Okay.
I did not.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting indeed.
I as a movie at the time,
Yeah.
like walking out of the theater, I'm like, that was a good movie.
For which one?
Justice League.
Justice League,
Justice League. I like that was a good movie. Then taking some time to digest it, look back on it.
Talk with your family. Yeah, I guess.
I still stick with I did talk with that. We've talked about this a lot. I still stick by my opinion that as an in-theater experience, it's good, it's fun, it's nothing great, it's nothing epic, right? But when you look at it within the grander context of what this could have been, what this should have been, it really falls flat.
It's
It's
crazy.
It feels like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And this is the Justice League, man.
Yeah.
Like, people...
It's just weird at
We've
times,
waited our
man.
whole
Like,
life for this.
Yeah.
I've at least waited since the DCEU, whole thing was announced. We were all in the back of our heads thinking two things. Can't wait to see Batman and Superman on the screen together, and then can't wait to see Justice League.
Yeah.
And to me, this... It does... I mean, it has structure. It's not like Suicide Squad where it feels choppy.
I think it's like probably movie-wise, probably one of their more solid movies as far as like,
Flow
beat by
and pace.
beat. Yeah, yeah.
It feels like two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like... And this is evident so much in the opening scene. I'm going to spoil... I know we're not in spoilers yet, but the first scene with Superman, I'm going to spoil here. Spoiler, Superman is in the movie. Okay, so... They do the YouTube video. It's like a cold open, right? No credits or anything. And it's like, Superman, two little kids talking to him, recording. He had just saved some people, which, imagine that. Superman saving somebody, which that's good. And they're like, what's the best thing about being on Earth? And he smiles and he thinks about it. And then it just cuts.
Doing your homework.
He didn't say that, but it cuts to black.
Yeah.
And then it's like mourning the death of Superman. It's like all of a sudden that I could clearly tell Joss Whedon added that scene because the tone and the mustache you could tell was CG'd in that part. And then all of a sudden we were back in Zack Snyder's movie.
Yeah.
It's gloomy. It's dark. The world's reacting to the death of Superman.
That opening video is so awful.
You think it's bad?
I think it's awful. It's so awkward. Like it's one of those. Sometimes when you do those type of scenes in a movie where you're trying to be real, if you will, it doesn't come across well, and that did not come across well. It came across as like a fake YouTube video or something, which is essentially what it is, or a fake video recording.
The idea was good. The execution was not.
Yeah, it was just so cringy. I thought the opening scene.
I didn't hate it as much as you did, but speaking of hate, we're going to get into this movie. We're deep diving. That's why we kind of went fast on the earlier stuff. But do you think that there is a bias toward being biased for Marvel and critics being biased against DC?
No, I don't think so, man.
Really?
So, I think critics have criticized some Marvel movies and like Thor and that kind of stuff. I don't think it's biased just because Marvel does well and DC doesn't do well. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel the same way as far as a lot of these movies go.
I just want to... Okay, here's my argument with this.
All right.
Justice League, to me, isn't 41% bad. Okay? I mean, it is that. That's what the numbers say. But I'm talking about from a gut feeling. Like, I didn't feel like I'd seen a 41% movie. I felt, if you would have asked me, Brad, guess the tomato meter score if I hadn't looked, which I did, I'd have said, I don't know, 50% probably. Maybe 55, something like that. And no, it was 41. And then Thor Ragnarok, which I enjoyed. We talked about it last week on the pod. I gave it a grade 8.5. That movie, though, is really good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. It's not a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I mean, this could be getting into the whole problem with Rotten Tomatoes in general, where it's like 92% of people were positive, but how positive were those 92%? You know what I mean?
Thor: The Dark World, which is universally considered the worst, right?
Yeah.
MCU movie, 66% fresh.
Wow.
Okay, I rest my case. I don't know, man. I
whatever.
know this is fanboyish, but I do think that Marvel gets a bit of a pass on some stuff. Like, I think they could put out a movie in which Iron Man's doing toilet humor the whole time, and it would still get 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I'm not trying to be, because I enjoy the MCU. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Doesn't sound like it, Brad. Wouldn't hurt you say it every once in a while.
the hurt fanboy here, but I don't know.
Let me see. The average rating is 5.3 though for Justice League.
Okay.
And I'm going to look up Thor real quick. But, yeah, I don't know. Thor, I think maybe is a little too high, 5.3. See, the average rating for Thor is 7.5.
That's high.
It's high, but it's not.
Out of
That's
10.
the difference of 5.3 and 7.5 now. You know what I mean?
It doesn't look as jarring. 41% versus 92.
So 92% of critics like Thor, but when you average all the ratings out, 7.5 out of 10. Not So
that's a good.
It's good.
Better
But
way to look at it.
Wonder Woman's like an 8 point something, and her percentage is essentially like right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
like Dark Knight was 94%. For the longest time, Thor: The Dark World was 93%. Now, I know you don't like The Dark Knight.
Thor: The Dark World was what?
No, I'm sorry, not Thor: The Dark World. Thor: Ragnarok.
I was like, how long?
You're like, damn, there may be something to this. They may be swayed.
No, something.
Thor: Ragnarok was 93.
Yeah.
You're telling me that movie's 1 point below The Dark Knight, man?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, I mean,
not as far as that score, but again, I'm sure Dark Knight is probably 8, the high like 8.8 or something like that. You know what I mean? So
exactly. What do you think about the scope and scale of this film? Because to me, this film felt small, whereas BVS felt like a grandiose epic where they were shooting all over the world.
Yeah.
A lot of this felt like it was green screen on the Warner Brothers lot in LA.
And it's just that team, you know what I mean, doing team stuff.
When this should be the biggest of them all, right?
I don't mind it if it was done well. The biggest problem to me for this film is the character interactions and how undeserved a lot of them feel.
Like Batman, like Superman.
Some of the stuff with Superman, but I mean, just some of the stuff with all of them kind of like popping jokes at each other and stuff. And I'm like...
There's a lot in this movie that was
so
never
weird.
earned
Yeah,
or
exactly.
developed.
It's just Batman going around collecting people. Like, there's some bad guys coming. Hey, Aquaman, come on. Hey, Flash, come on. Hey, Cyborg, come on. Like, I mean, not that Batman got all of those people, not to, spoil anything, but I mean, it's essentially what it feels like. It's like Batman just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like, I wish the plot had been more of all these other superheroes are dealing with this problem in their own separate ways, and the story kind of leads them together. Instead, Batman's like, oh, there's a big bad guy coming. Let's go collect all the superheroes that, half of which we haven't met before. It's just...
One of my big problems
weird.
with this movie is similar but different. It is that how people react to characters and how characters interact with one another doesn't make sense within the context of the world building that's been done.
Right.
Such as Superman's this beacon of hope that people are supposed to aspire toward, be inspired by. Yeah. But that's not the Superman we've seen for 2 movies. We've seen a Superman who is struggling with his place in the world. It's not that he's not a hero. There's that montage in BVS of him saving people. Yeah. But the way he's treated,
fearing him.
Yeah. The way he's treated is if he's been protecting Metropolis for a decade. Yeah. When this is a young Superman who hadn't been doing this long when he's killed.
I think that's part of it is, I guess maybe the attitude towards him is supposed to have changed since he sacrificed himself. You know what I mean? Maybe his sacrifice makes everybody realize, oh, okay, crap, you don't know what you got till it's gone. But I mean, I get you, yeah. Like the first 2 movies, it's kind of like, Superman, can we trust him? You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh no, Superman's gone. Like, crap, that's awful. Everybody loves Superman, It
makes sense. And what doesn't makes sense. What doesn't though is the tonal shift in this movie. Like there's, and now none of these movies, with maybe the exception of Suicide Squad, would you classify as action comedies. Yeah. Like you would some of the Marvel movies like Thor Ragnarok.
Or even comedy with some action elements.
Exactly. But here, I mean, we have not only people, it's not like, it would be different if Flash comes in and he's doing it. Yeah. But no, like Ben Affleck, who is the darkest version of Batman we've ever seen probably. Yeah. Is all of a sudden channeling his inner Adam West. Yeah. It's not quite that bad. I'm being a little bit, a little hyperbole there, but still. Yeah. It doesn't fit with what we've seen. It's like you said, with the Wonder Woman being the one good movie. Yeah. This movie tonally is like the one movie that has a lot of levity. Mm-hmm. And to me, I don't know if this was the time. I mean, for better or worse, they let Zack Snyder build this universe. Yeah. Why? If you want to not go this direction, he had already had his version done. Why not just let him finish it out? Because at the very least, it was different. two things. One, it was different from Marvel. So you don't have to like it, that's fine, but there was nothing like them trying to rip them off, or it had its own distinct tone, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they were financially successful. When you look at the box office take between the opening, I know it was front loaded with BVS, but between the opening of Batman versus Superman, $167 million versus the 93 that Justice League made.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, you were doing better when
Sure, but isn't
you were doing your own thing.
Could you make the argument then that, you know, where Justice League ends up is going to be a reaction to what it is versus where it opened is more of a reaction to what Batman versus Superman was. That people didn't turn out to Justice League because they're like, oh god, it's a sequel to Batman versus Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your common moviegoer isn't at home like, oh, Joss Whedon's taking over Justice League, you know?
No, most people don't even know who directors of movies are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're following this stuff daily and
Right, we're
talking about it
getting nerdy
weekly.
about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we care about this stuff. We follow this stuff like it's a sport. But, I mean, I definitely see your point. But my thing is, don't change midstream.
Sure, no,
here.
I get what you're saying too. Yeah.
So basically, between Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League, this sounds kind of weird, but that's almost like the Snyder DC trilogy.
Yeah.
With those three movies, and like all of a sudden, you just almost snatched the rug out from underneath of him.
Yeah.
And you did it at an opportune time. I think I have no proof of this, Andrew, but I think they kind of screwed Snyder over here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. Guy goes through a tragedy.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't like your version of the movie. We want you to work with Marvel guy. Get this right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of shitty to me. And he hadn't even seen this movie, by the way.
Sure.
His son's taking to Twitter saying this isn't what my dad would have wanted. You know, his son's taking up for him. But, of course, like, you know, taking up for your dad, that's good. But
it is what it is. I mean, it's not like people were liking the Snyder movies to begin with, though. So
I did. I like Man of Steel.
I think
I like
overall,
the Ultimate Cut.
I mean, good for you, but I think overall that's definitely not the general consensus.
Do people like this?
No, but I mean, I was saying like it's not. It's not like I don't know. I don't feel like there's like this high standard either. You know what I mean? Like I get what you're saying, but I guess I get the Warner Brothers perspective as we need to fix this. This is Justice League. You know what I mean? Like people aren't liking these other movies, and this is the same thing. We need to change it up.
People liked Wonder Woman, like you said.
People like Wonder
People
Woman.
like Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Can't figure that one out. I mean,
Some people did.
It's the worst of the bunch, I think. I think it's worse than Justice League, for sure.
At least there's entertainment to get from that, though.
I mean, I was entertained with Justice League.
I was a little bored with Justice League. I was a little bored with Man of Steel. Like they're probably better movies, but like something like Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman.
I don't see how you were bored with Man of Steel. I mean, I guess I get it's action packed.
It's just so like, and the story structure of Man of Steel too, like the back and forth of it. I think Man of Steel would have been better if it was linear. I just didn't care for what they were doing there. It just felt odd.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think most people are going to agree with you on that, not me.
Well, you know, I'm always right, so.
I want to say that the CG in this movie, before we get into spoilers, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No, I mean, I'm not sure how bad I thought it was going to be.
From the trailers, a lot of people were really worried about the whole redness of the movie. And that ended up just being the final fight scene when they were fighting with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
And the parademons. My thing with Steppenwolf is, too, and I brought this up on Amos's podcast. I want you to think about this, Andrew. And this kind of matches up with the CG, and we're going to get into some characters here. But Steppenwolf is universally the most hated part of this movie. He doesn't look good. He's generic. He's a nothing villain.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
He looks like Grimlord was his name? The main bad guy from VR Troopers? You remember
Yes, I do. I love Grimlord. I would have rather seen Grimlord as the villain, I think. But, okay. I'm not saying I blame Joss Whedon. I blame Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. I don't blame Zack Snyder for Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Okay. Zack Snyder, for all the negatives you can say about him, he's terrific with visuals. Nothing looks fake with his stuff. Nothing looks cheap with his stuff. His stuff, for the most part, is stunning.
Right.
In all of his movies, with the exception of Sucker Punch, which I don't really enjoy, but that's.
But the aesthetic was still there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's a great visual storyteller. May not be a great storyteller, but visually, he's a great when it comes to cinematography and all this. You're telling me that in Zack Snyder's version, that CG piece of shit is the main... No, there's no way. I just don't believe it.
What, you think they changed... Of course, that's the
I think they changed the look of him.
Really?
I just don't think if Zack Snyder has final say, that's the final way Steppenwolf look. Like, what evidence based on this guy's career? Like, did anything in Watchmen look that bad? Did anything in Man of Steel? Did anything in BVS look that bad? Maybe Doomsday?
I wasn't a big fan of Doomsday.
Yeah, but he didn't look this bad.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, he's just...
He looked somewhat like
so
Doomsday.
Yeah,
At
to a
least.
degree. He just looks bad.
Steppenwolf's a man in the comics.
Yeah.
And, like, Steppenwolf is like a Goldar Starscream. He's like a top henchman. He's never the big bad. And you can feel that in this movie.
Yeah, I
he
wasn't
was
expecting that.
to be the sit-up to Darkseid.
Oh, yeah. I was expecting the guy to be playing this person. I wasn't expecting this CGI thing. You know what I mean? So...
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Warner screening Zack Snyder's cut of the movie.
Yeah.
The plan was that was part 1 of 2, right?
Right.
And that 1 would be Steppenwolf getting the mother boxes and giving him the dark side.
Yeah.
Giving the mother boxes, the dark side, and you'd have a cliffhanger ending, and then in a year we'd get part 2.
Yeah.
I wish we could have seen that. I really do.
Whatever. I'm over it.
You are?
Yeah.
You're to that point, you just... Well, I want to talk about that at the end, what you'd like to see them
do next.
Do with this, yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the individual characters before we get into spoilers. What'd you think about Ezra Miller's Flash?
Weird. I don't know. Like, I mean... I could almost see...
He was Tom Holland in Civil War.
But not good, I guess. Like, he wasn't bad per se. He just didn't really fit in here. He felt kind of odd.
He
in this
didn't
movie.
feel like Barry Allen either.
Yeah,
he felt more like Wally West,
like Kick-Ass or something.
Well, he felt like a mix of Kick-Ass, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and I'm trying to remember who else. There's one other. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, they were probably...
and Wally West Flash. That was the three
They
things
were probably
he felt
going
like.
for some sort of Tom Holland or maybe Quicksilver from, like, the X-Men movies type deal. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what they were going for. I understand what they were going for with Aquaman and his thing. And he just came across as, like, this Thor clone. You know what I mean?
I didn't think that, but...
I did. It's like, oh, is this Thor Ragnarok or is this Thor the Dark World? It's like, whatever. We'll change it based on the scene.
More like Thor the Dark World, I'd say. Man, I didn't like... I mean, Ezra Miller's a good actor. Like, I want to clarify that with these movies, the problem isn't the acting. Like, you're not looking at this and be like, these people don't have the chops. They're just...
It's the characters. That's right. It's how they're written.
It is the writing of the characters.
Yeah.
And like Barry Allen, is he funny sometimes? Sure, but I mean, he's more of an empathetic, more of a emotional character than he is a quippy one-liner guy.
Why not just go with Wally West if that's what you're gonna do?
Which would have been fine.
Yeah, because people were already like, oh, we already have a Barry Allen on the TV show. It's like, well, this is Wally West. You know what I mean? Even though there's a Wally West on there too, but
yeah,
people I think would have swallowed that a little easier.
If you read Barry Allen in the comics, which I know most of the people that see these movies don't read comics or never have read a comic, but like
comics are for nerds, Brad.
It aligns with Grant Gustin's what you see on that interpretation of the Flash, and to see this, like I think that they saw Tom Holland in Civil War, and they were like, let's see. I bet you Josh wrote a lot of that Flash stuff, and he probably gave it to him on green screen and said, all right, I want you to...
This is good, Josh.
I want you to say all this stuff, and we'll cut in what we want to.
Yeah.
There was a joke about his blood sugar getting too low.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't the worst thing. There's a scene in this movie,
It's not
guys.
Ninja Turtles bad. as far as like the
Turtles.
humor, the new ones they remade, the humor's not that bad, okay? But
There's a scene in this movie where Cyborg and the Flash are digging up a grave. They're digging up Superman's grave.
you're getting the spoilers now.
Okay,
You're getting spoilers
my
now.
God, like when they were filming this, like
Guys, are we sure we want to put this in the movie?
that was probably
Get to digging.
that was probably a joke written by Joss Whedon. Are we sure want to put he breaks the fourth wall? But anyway, like, dude, I think that's a Joss Whedon scene.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, first of all, why do they have to? Because, and here's my argument for this.
Careful. Careful, because I can't wait to talk about this plot when we get into spoilers.
Should we just jump to spoilers, or do you want to talk a little bit more?
I will say we're on the characters, Flash, Aquaman, Ruff. I like Cyborg.
I did too.
Yeah, Cyborg was cool. Even
I
though
was worried about him.
did not like the look of Cyborg.
Really?
Throughout the whole movie, I'm like, just something weird and off-putting. The look of everybody was a little weird and off-putting. I think Wonder Woman and Aquaman probably came off looking the best, and Aquaman just, whatever.
It's hard to make Gal Gadot look bad.
Yeah, but her costume, there's something about I liked Batman's costume in Batman vs. Superman, and there's just certain scenes, it was just odd.
Well, he had that costume for the first half of the movie.
Okay.
And then he got the tactical suit when they went in to fight Steppenwolf at the end.
Okay.
The one that had the Night Owl goggles.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did have his traditional suit in there. Did this feel like the same Wonder Woman that you got from Patty Jenkins, or did it feel different?
I guess she felt the same, but she was just somewhat inconsequential, I guess. Everybody kind of got their own time to a degree, but like there's some characters like Cyborg who had a lot more of a story in this than I felt like some of the other characters did.
I love the scene where she stops the shooting. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'd heard that scene was like a lot, like that was a Snyder scene, and it was a lot more graphic.
Really?
And it was like some people get killed before she, like, that's what was implied, okay? I mean, like, they didn't say, I mean, what do you imply from it was a lot more graphic in the shooting scene?
Yeah.
And then, like, Whedon cut a lot of that stuff down.
Yeah.
And part of that was reactionary just because of the state of the things politically with guns and whatnot in our country, sadly. But, I mean, that was still a fantastic scene. It's like, how many people were watching that and were like, man, I wish we had people like this in real life to stop this kind of... And I do think that's a little bit of the appeal of superheroes is things are so shitty in our world.
Yeah.
Like, it would be awesome if we had somebody to help us out in this crappy world. But Aquaman, I liked him. I didn't think he was as much of a Thor clone. Like, I was worried about the, my man. Like, all that stuff. Like, I was like, oh, man, eye roll, cringe-worthy. But within the context of the film, I liked him. In particular, I liked him in the final fight scene. But you know one problem I did have?
What?
Like, why didn't they, like, sit the final fight scene, like, on the coast or something? You know, where, like, you could see him use his water abilities. He's out in dry land the whole time. Like,
By the final fight scene, not to get spoilerish, but by the final fight scene, you realize just how useless all the superheroes are compared to...
I did like the scene with him, though, where he surfs the parademon down. That was cool. I don't know. Have you forgotten it?
Some of the subway scene or whatever? They're in like a tunnel or something?
No, it's the final scene when they're fighting Steppenwolf. He like stabs a parademon in midair, and he surfs his body down and goes through like a warehouse. And then he like shakes it off and just runs his hands through his hair. Like, it sounds bad, but I actually enjoyed it in the movie. We're already starting to, kind of dip into spoilers here. So better safe than sorry. We'll roll the reel forward. Would you recommend this movie before we do that?
If you've liked the other ones, then you'd probably like this.
I don't know if you would, though. I think if you like the other ones, you may not like this one.
If you like
as
the other
much.
ones, you're probably a DC apologist, and you're like anything they put out, so go for it.
See, I would consider myself in that camp, but I don't know if I'm apologizing for this. I'm kind of pissed at Warner's. But
anybody that apologizes for Suicide Squad will apologize for it.
If you have been waiting your whole life to go see this, go see it. I mean, it's not a piece. It's not crap. Okay, as Andrew.
If you're just looking for something to watch in the theaters, there's better things to watch.
If you're looking for something on TBS, on a Sunday afternoon, non-football season.
If it's between this and Geostorm, flip a coin.
All right, let's go ahead and roll the reel forward to spoilers for Justice League. Okay, back to that Cyborg and Flash scene. Let me just set the stage for you.
I don't understand why you... it's so weird.
They're digging up a grave.
Literally, they're digging up Superman's corpse.
Clark Kent's corpse, yeah. But
whatever.
Here's what I don't understand. Okay, at the end of BVS, the dirt...
thank you.
The dirt moves.
Yeah, so Superman's not really dead, right?
Implying that Superman's not dead, he's going to be resurrected. Very Christ-like. Like, Snyder loves Christ analogies.
That's the Doomsday plot, right? Is Doomsday doesn't actually kill him in the comics. He just goes in some deep Kryptonian coma or something and eventually wakes up or something, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of is in line with that. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, there's it's implied with that dirt moving
that Superman is not dead.
Yeah, and that they shouldn't need to do anything to bring him back to life.
Yeah.
And when they brought him back, so they dig him up, they put him in the Kryptonian ship.
Goo,
which has been in all three of these movies now. It was in BVS, Man of Steel. It's played a major role in all three movies. Okay, now I'm still in this part from the Kevin Smith podcast, Fat Man on Batman, but I just have to, he put it best.
All right.
When they bring Superman back to life, it feels like a level in a video game. Mm-hmm. Flash has to run just fast enough to touch the mother box, to jolt it with power.
It's so weird,
bring
you couldn't
Clark back to life.
And they had to do it the exact right moment. And this scene is played up to be this super intense thing. And I'm like, but what happens if they get it wrong? Can't they just take it out of the water and do it again? Or can't we figure out some other way to shoot some electricity or whatever?
They get it wrong, the level starts over and they gotta dig Superman out of the grave again. Hell, why didn't you just use... Okay, I love the line where he's like, I would use my powers, but something just seems wrong about this. More wrong than you digging up the body? At what point is that... Oh.
And the whole idea is just kind of they're not even sure what this is going to do.
Yeah.
Batman has gathered up these other superheroes and it's all right, we're going to dig up Superman's corpse and we're going to use this technology that we're not sure what it does and maybe bring him back to life or maybe create an unstoppable monster worse than the aliens we're going to face.
I hated all the stuff when Superman come back to life and they had to fight him. I thought that was the dumbest shit.
No, see, I think it was the best part of the movie.
And no, but you're not alone. A lot of reviews I've read and podcasts.
That was a great scene. Yeah, I love that.
You did?
Yeah, it reminds me of the scene, one of the best scenes in Batman vs Superman is when Batman and Superman fight, and I'm like, man, that's what they should do. Superman versus the whole DC universe.
A lot of people thought that would be a good idea, is to have Superman be in the black suit and have a beard and be the main bad guy. I think that would have been better than Steppenwolf.
Yeah,
for sure. But I mean, I don't know.
That was a cool scene, especially I love that part during that fight. When he's fighting all the superheroes, Flash runs by, and he just kind of turns his head and looks at Flash.
That was cool.
And it's oh my god.
But my thing is, we just had a movie called Batman versus Superman. Yeah. Now do we need Batman versus Superman?
When superheroes team up, they got to fight. And I guess nobody else was going to fight.
That happens in Avengers. Remember the Thor and Iron Man stuff, Cap stuff. That was good in that. But, oh man, where do we start here?
Let's start at the beginning. Not the very beginning, but the second scene where Batman is he's going after one of these parademons, and he captures one, and it kills itself or dissolves, whatever. That's fine, and it leaves behind the bad guy's plans. No, it leaves behind those 3 squares on the wall, burns them into the wall, and Batman's like, this is it.
Well, apparently they didn't know what that was. It was just
right, but why is he? Why?
It was a marking that matched other parademons sightings across the world.
Right, but why did he turn into that when he disappeared?
All right, let me give you a bigger question.
It's like killing a Nazi, and he falls on the floor, and his blood becomes a swastika on the wall or something. It's the clues are starting to fit together. It's why did that happen?
But that's not the biggest moment of this
movie.
All right. So there's 3 mother boxes. Steppenwolf can't.
I like to just refer to them as the 3 Allsparks. But okay.
Or the 3 Tesseracts.
Or the 3
Cubes,
Tesseracts.
whatever you want to. But mother boxes predated all that stuff.
That's fine.
Okay? So,
I know. It's just, it's starting to get... It is weird because like these are all things, but it's starting to feel like that beam of energy and that's in all the superhero movies. Like now they're always fighting over a box or a cube or whatever. But
anyway. Make a good direct TV commercial.
And Transformers did it first.
Yeah, it did.
Movie-wise.
All right, so 3 boxes. The Atlanteans have one.
Yeah.
The Amazonians have one.
Yep.
That was cool, by the way, when it did the flashback and you saw
cool
the
scene.
Atlanteans and the Amazonians teaming up with the
like that scene,
Green Lanterns to fight Steppenwolf.
That was cool.
That was really cool. I mean, was it CG? Was it? To me, that looked like Zack Snyder. It looked good. It would look CG and slow-mo-y like Snyder, but it
in a
looked
good way, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's 3. So the Atlanteans have theirs. Mm-hmm. Aquaman has to go get that from Mira. The Amazonians have it. Steppenwolf gets that one. Mm-hmm. And then the man has one. So who had the man? Who had the... Was
it Cyborg's dad? It was in his lab or whatever?
Cyborg, which I thought the 3rd mother box was going to be Cyborg. Like he had put it inside Cyborg.
I mean, that could have been cool. I'm laughing. It could have been cool.
Because I thought like...
The mother box was inside me all along.
When they did the like... I didn't have a mother named Martha, but I had a mother box inside me the whole time. I thought whenever they did the whole the tabs on Batman's computer that had the logos for each of the heroes conveniently there on the folders, I could have swore in that scene, I had to go back and watch it. It's been like a year since I watched BVS, but they put the mother box inside Cyborg. I could be completely wrong. Could be misremembering it. But so Cyborg has the box, or it's at Star Labs,
right?
So they get the box, and then they just leave it somewhere.
they get
Steppenwolf comes. They use
it. They use it to resurrect Superman.
That's right.
And it flies out and crushes a car or something. And I guess they're fighting Superman, but they just leave it there. And Steppenwolf just shows up. Oh, thanks.
This is supposed to be the world's greatest crime fighting team. Like, that was bad. To me, that's the worst part of the whole movie. Like,
I'm proud of them for not making...
Wait, can you say that again?
I'm proud of them for not making a joke with the word mother box. I was waiting for somebody to be like, oh, they're after the mother box. Excuse me? Or something like that. Like... Good on them for that, I guess.
Let me ask you this: did they finally get a Superman right?
I don't know. I mean, he was a bad guy. Oh no, I forgot about one of my There's a few of my favorite scenes in this movie. One of my favorite scenes is after the big fight and Superman returns, and he goes and finds Lois Lane.
You mean Man of Steel? Are you talking about in this?
Justice League.
In
Justice League.
I thought you were talking about the movie.
In Justice League, Superman comes back to life. He has his big fight scene. He runs off after that, and he runs into Lois Lane, who tells him that he smells good.
Well, that was the plan B that Batman had, right? He was going to bring Lois in.
I just love that this guy was a corpse not long ago, and Lois Lane is like, oh, you smell good.
He was in Kryptonian sleep, if you're talking about the Zack Snyder version.
Well, yeah.
But in the Joss Whedon version, he was dead. I mean, like,
whatever.
When they pulled him out, he looked like a corpse.
He was dead.
But not a corpse that had been there like a year. It was like he just went in the ground, which I don't know how much time had passed. A year?
Was it that long?
I think they said a year of mourning. So.
Okay. There's also the scene where Aquaman joins the team or whatever. I'm trying to remember if I remember this correctly. He joins the team. He busts in through like the water or whatever, in like the tunnel. And sorry, I thought you paused it. No. He busts in. I don't know. He saves the day, and they all go back to the Batcave or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And when they get to the Batcave, Batman's wearing like a suit. Aquaman's armor is gone, and he's wearing like these baggy clothes. Wonder Woman's in heels now. Flash is just in his, whatever. And
you can tell that was was poor editing.
Yeah, I was like, what did you guys like? Did they change on the way to the Batcave? Everybody had these spare clothes with them. Like they barely escaped this tunnel. they're all clinging on to like the bat crawler or whatever, and it's
the
just
night crawler.
yeah, whatever. And it's just I don't know. It's
I
just like
can't
some
toward
weird
Jake
things.
Gyllenhaal coming in to fill the role. Man.
Yeah.
That was
There's
the
some
only-
Pixar level Easter eggs going on.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just
I didn't hate the Nightcrawler, by the way.
no, it's fine.
I mean,
But it
Batman,
was just these weird transitions, like that kind of stuff.
because it was 2 movies in one.
I
Okay,
guess.
here's the thing.
Like-
They say is what we see is 20% Whedon. Okay?
Yeah.
You know what? I believe that.
Yeah.
But the question is, how much Snyder did they cut?
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't like me. Just because this is 20% Whedon doesn't mean but you deleted 50% more Snyder.
Yeah.
So like that statement that Warner Brothers has made is misleading to me. What'd you think of the Lasso of Truth scene? Because I think that was Josh Whedon.
It was pretty dumb.
You thought it was dumb?
Yeah, with the
Everybody
whole
loves
Aquaman
this
thing.
scene.
The
Yeah.
Aquaman thing? Nah, that was dumb.
He's sitting on it. But
Bec-
didn't
this
that
is-
feel like out of a Marvel movie though?
Sure, and I think maybe in a different movie it could have felt good. Again, in this, it just felt undeserved. It felt like, oh, there's a camaraderie amongst these guys, like, and it just didn't. It just felt silly. Like it wasn't like I'm sitting here. I don't know. I just thought it was dumb. Like it just, yeah, like you said, it could have fit in a Marvel movie, and it probably would have been set up better, where it would have been a more believable, like, oh, these guys, you know what I mean? But it just, I don't know.
Let's talk about the post-credit scene.
Okay, which
There
one?
were 2.
The one that was my favorite.
The Flash,
Oh yeah,
Superman race.
yeah.
Are you being sarcastic?
Oh, super sarcastic.
You didn't like it?
God no!
right,
It's
tell-
so
why?
stupid.
The race?
Yeah, because
I thought that was awesome.
I love it, like visually at the end when they're running towards the screen or whatever. But it's like oh, there's Flash and Superman being all Flash and Superman again. But like they really don't know each other. Like they're like best friends all of a sudden, and it's
Yeah.
like
When you look at it again, when you look at it within the context of the film, not earned, out of
Right.
place.
yeah,
When you look at it from, and I know this is how Jerry would look at it if he was here.
Okay.
When you look at it within the context of, I've seen this so many times in the comics as some of the best, little character moments that Flash and Superman ever have together.
right.
Like I've always wanted to see that on the screen.
Yeah, I just wish it
like
was
that's
better.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Sure, no, I get that, and
Yeah.
again, I understand the appeal of it, but I wish it was earned.
Speaking of
It
appeal,
it literally feels like they just threw that in there because they knew people wanted to see.
I think that they're like, well, this movie sucks. We're never gonna make another Justice League movie, so we might as well just throw the kitchen sink in here.
Yeah, I guess.
The final scene,
Yeah.
post credits,
Oh, that,
the true
okay.
post, because that was more of a mid credits. What we were just talking about.
Yeah, it was the shawarma type scene.
Yeah. Lex Luthor. They go to his prison cell. He's not there. He's on a yacht somewhere, not in America, somewhere in Europe, I guess. Somebody pulls up. This is my favorite part of my screening. Guy gets off the boat. Oh my God, it's Deadpool. What somebody said right there.
That's funny.
And but that just shows you what the general public, like you made that point
Right.
earlier in the pod of.
It's wrong Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Slade, not Wade Wilson. So,
Yeah.
But it's Deathstroke.
I feel like
Joe
somebody said that in my theater
Magliano
too,
from
but
True
like
Blood playing him.
yeah, I feel like somebody said that in my theater too, but they were clearly joking. But maybe they weren't. Because I remember sitting there.
He spoofs the whole
Yeah,
movie.
I remember sitting in there and thinking wrong Wilson while I'm watching that scene. So
All right, so he looks good. Like the Deathstroke suit looks good.
Yeah, it
he
looks
looks
great.
good at under the suit with
Yeah.
the white. Like looks like comic book Deathstroke more than the guy on Arrow does.
Mm-hmm.
Although I love Deathstroke on Arrow.
Sure.
And then it looks like they're setting up a Legion of Doom or Injustice League or
yeah.
a Secret Society of supervillains. Like
yeah, I think
it's like they have their own league now.
Is this Justice League 2? Is that the idea?
But Deathstroke's supposed to be in the solo Batman movie.
Maybe that's a prequel.
Well, and we don't know if that.
Maybe it's not even canon to the DCEU.
That's the big problem is we don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know where they're going.
Yeah.
But like, we're never gonna
It
see.
feels like the Superman Dirt Rising again.
We're never gonna see anything come of this, are we? Him showing up on that yacht.
Brad, doesn't look good, buddy.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we will see him in some other movie. I don't know. But
Here's what I want to see. All right.
maybe Warner Bros. Will just keep popping these out.
People hate So DC is so reactionary, right? People hate Jesse Eisenberg like Luthor. Like, my wife despises him.
You think he's going to kill him?
Yeah, opening scene of the solo Batman movie. Okay, he just slices his head off.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
I can.
I can too. Like, that could happen.
Yeah.
And then same movie.
And then Bryan Cranston comes in as Lex Luthor too.
Jake
Lex
Gyllenhaal's
Luthor from
Batman.
From Earth 2.
Yeah. Man, where do they go from here? Like,
I don't know. I want to talk about the last fight scene though. When Superman comes back and starts fighting Steppenwolf.
I believe in truth and justice. I like that though, dude. And they had the whole John Williams dun 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 dun.
We got Aquaman and Wonder Woman fighting Steppenwolf, getting their butt kicked. Superman comes in, just punches the crap out of them. Great. Runs over to Batman, like, "Hey, Batman, I'm here. What do you need me to do?" And in my head, I'm thinking, well, you could have just kept fighting the guy you could have kept doing the thing you were already doing. That's fine. And then I think Batman even says something like that. It's like, "Oh, I hear people screaming," and he goes off, and like the Flash is trying to save people, but Superman is Superman, so he saves even more people.
Well, he's
and
super.
And then Cyborg is having problems with his thing, so he just runs over there. Okay, I solved your problem. All right, let me go fight Steppenwolf again because Aquaman and Wonder Woman still can't get it done. And it's just like
they played into the people's biggest complaint about Superman.
Yeah, it's like, why are these guys even here? It's like it literally felt like a movie. You could have taken this and it could have been like a bunch of kids and one of their friends is grounded and they broke him out of the house so he can go beat up the bully or something.
Well,
like,
they were there because he wasn't there.
I know, but it's
They even knew they couldn't do this without him.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
So, I mean,
and he proved them right.
Within the movie's logic, makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
Within, like, you just played into the
biggest complaint about Superman. Yeah.
And it's like,
and he just compared to the rest of them, and they just made it so stark.
Say what you want to about Snyder's take on Superman, but it's different.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, and he approached Superman from what if, there was this really happened. Like, there was an alien, a Kryptonian. But I listen to episode 17, the Man of Steel.
What if Superman was also boring?
It's still on there. In the end, did you feel like this was more of a Snyder or a Whedon film? Like, what did it feel, or did it feel like both completely to you?
No, I think it felt Snyder overall.
Really?
I felt like the other ones, but just a little disjointed. But again, it still felt like. I think I enjoyed Batman versus Superman more because I got more entertainment out of it. Where Justice League just kind of felt boring at times and just kind of like it just.
Batman versus Superman had some cool moments.
A lot of the Batman stuff was really good in that.
Like the flashback when he goes to Apocalypse.
I wasn't as crazy as that part.
I love that part when he sees the Omega symbol and all that.
I mean, it was cool to look at, but overall, like. In the movie,
remember though, they did at least tie it in with BVS because Flash traveled back in time in BVS to tell Bruce that Lois is the key, and they used Lois, to calm Superman down. So at least they did.
That's a fair point. I did forget about that.
They did pay that off.
Save the reporter, save the world.
Andrew Stokes.
That's me.
If tomorrow they made you head of DCEU, you're the new Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Man.
So how do they fix this?
The new Kevin Feige.
Yeah. For DC.
Okay. Man, you got to keep Wonder Woman. You got to make a Wonder Woman too. Can you scrap everything else? Is Ben Affleck's on his way out?
Yeah.
So okay, let's start Batman over again.
I think you need to give Henry Cavill a second Superman movie. He's earned it, man.
I don't think he's bad per se. I'm just over his Superman. I don't want to see him anymore.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I would do, like, trilogies. I would say, all right, let's finish.
Well, yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
Finish the Man of Steel trilogy. Do the Reeves Superman trilogy. Reeves Batman trilogy, excuse me. Let Patty Jenkins finish. Do an Aquaman one. And then in, like, 2028, do a movie where they all fight Darkseid after you've had them doing their solo movies for years.
Yeah.
And, like, then at that point, it will be earned. I feel.
And then, is the rest of the stuff not canon?
What stuff?
Like the Justice League and the Batman
It can
versus
still
Superman.
be canon.
Yeah, but then you're
Yeah.
gonna have a different Batman though.
Yeah, I would make. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Batman he's the most important key, right? Because he's like a guaranteed money maker for Warner Brothers. If all else fails, like Wonder Woman obviously isn't because they got Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
So, but if all else fails, they can always reboot Batman and do a Batman trilogy. And unless you give us a turd like Batman and Robin, that's going to gross $1 billion if it's an adequate movie. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, man, I don't know what they need to do with Batman. Like, I'm so perplexed. They had to move on from Affleck. They can't let him keep undermining them in public like this. Mm-hmm. So I would probably let the Gyllenhaal movies be a prequel to the Justice League. That's what I would do. Okay. Like, that is young Ben Affleck Batman.
Okay.
And then, if you bring them all together, by that point, Jake Gyllenhaal will be older. It's no big deal. I mean, they did this with Don Cheadle and, with War Machine and Edward Norton. It happens. With Batman, they did it all the time. Batman Forever and Batman and Robin canonically are the same as the Burton movies, but it's 3 different Batmans. Yeah. So there is precedent for that. But I don't envy them. Do you think there's any chance that they just scrap the whole DCEU?
I think they should start looking at it. Yeah. Man. This is not doing well. But this is Justice League.
This is their one thing they like. Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, they have that. Unless they do the Cursed Child one day,
they don't have to scrap DC movies, but maybe stop doing this shared universe business.
Yeah.
I think that's their best bet. Especially if they're getting ready to kick off Batman again. You have this Joker movie going on. Try to do something with Margot Robbie, I guess.
So do one-offs and trilogies.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's not a bad answer. So let's go ahead and give our rating on this. Before we do, is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
It's just not good.
I'm going to quote Ron Rivera, Carolina Panthers head coach here. Missed opportunities. This is just missed opportunity, man. Like this.
Well, I'm going to quote Panthers quarterback Cam Newton when I'm going to say, the Titanic has to go on, or whatever he said.
That should be the philosophy over at Warner Brothers.
That's what it feels like.
Sinking, and they're like, "This has got to continue." Oh, that was good. I want to see. I do want to see a Man of Steel 2. I'll say that.
I'm not. The only thing I'm interested in is Wonder Woman 2, and and whatever Reeves Batman's going to be. But I want it to be like a separate thing at this point. Even though I want to see. We'll never see it now, but the Ben Affleck Batman movie, The Batman or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean? I
want to see what he and Jeff Johns wrote.
Yeah, I was all for that, but I'm also on board for this whole Matt thing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Wonder Woman 2. That's about it. I don't care. And Joss Whedon Batgirl, I'm interested in. I want to see something, but I'm interested in the idea of it. You know what I mean?
Would you watch Ultimate Cut of this? Like if the Snyder Cut comes out next,
right? If there's a director's cut where it's 45 minutes of the movie's different or something. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I would.
More for curiosity's sakes, not because I believe in that Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to be good.
I think it was going to be better than this.
No, it's possible.
And I'm going to say that I will watch that, and if we're doing the podcast then, which God willing we will, I'll review that. Just like we
25 years from now, they'll release it.
Just like we did the Ultimate Cut of Batman versus Superman. All right, what would you rate this movie? Let me go first. Okay. Just because I'm higher on this than you are, we'll go downhill.
Okay.
I'm going to give this good.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a good. I will buy it. I will watch it because this is a Justice League movie probably 2 or 3 more times in my life.
Yeah.
There are enjoyable moments here.
Yeah.
There's more head scratching moments probably.
Yeah.
Again, missed opportunities. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'll say as a one-off movie, which this isn't what this is. Okay, so It's hard to judge it like that. It's a good movie. It's to me, it's good. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I just want to say,
I don't think it's good as a one-off. It can't be a one-off movie.
My favorite part of this movie,
yeah,
and I didn't bring it up in the podcast. I talked about it on Amos' podcast. It's when Batman's going in to fight the parademons in the Batmobile. Yeah. And I know Jerry would love this too. And Danny Elfman's 89 Batman theme is playing.
Yeah.
I teared up.
Oh, yeah?
I teared up. I was like, oh
Nerd.
my God. I never thought I would hear this again in a Batman movie.
It was cool.
And that was a cool moment. And for me, that moment alone, I know I'm fanboyish here. I'm giving it a good. What about you?
Well, I'm personally right now. I don't think I'd own any DC movie. Like I'd want to own any of them, even Wonder Woman, which I thought was good.
I own all of them.
Like Wonder Woman, I would rent before Wonder Woman 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Justice League, I'm gonna give it an eh. I think like it just wasn't good. Like it's just I don't know. It was boring.
Would you rank it above Suicide Squad?
I don't know.
Oh man.
I rank Suicide Squad above like Man of Steel and stuff. It probably, to me, the hierarchy of DC movies probably goes Wonder Woman at the top, followed by Batman vs Superman, followed by Justice League, Suicide Squad, around the same area for me. Suicide Squad was worse, but Justice League was more boring. And then Man of Steel at the bottom.
I'd go Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, Ultimate Cut of Batman vs Superman,
Okay.
Justice League, then Suicide Squad.
Okay.
It'd be at the bottom for me. All right, so you give Justice League an eh. I confirm it at a good. You're a DC fan. You probably already checked it out. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thanks for checking us out. We hope you have had a happy Thanksgiving. We hope you have a safe and happy holiday season. We'll be back next week, probably just talking a little news and what we've been checking out. Of course, we're going to review The Last Jedi. I'm hoping we'll do an episode, our top 10 favorite movies of 2017. And there has been a lot of good ones. Andrew Stokes, where can people find more of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at AKA Andrew Stokes. And that's basically it.
You can find me at Twitter at TheRealBradBell, DREEL Brad Bell. Check our shirts and hoodies out at tpublic.com/user/TheRealBradBell. Check us out at Stardust Confirmed Epic. Check us out on Instagram where we post epic geek imagery daily at Confirmed Epic Podcast. Check out Jerry serving up hot and fresh action figure reviews daily at actionfigurebarbecue.com. Of course, you can always find this podcast at theepicreview.com, thepicreview.com, and at Geeks Worldwide, thegww.com. From the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!